Hello, and welcome to Literary Awakenings. I'm shocked we've had some technical difficulties, so thank you for joining us. This is Gaia Blooming's Hangout Book Club that we have once a month, where we read a book and discuss the topic and share our insights and our reviews of it. And if you want to join us, you can click on the links that we provided in the posting on our Gaia Blooming Facebook page, or you can watch on YouTube. If you want to join the Hangout, you're welcome to come on down. You just need a webcam and a headset to chat with us, so come on down and join us. So today I have with me Mimi Clark and my daughter Katie. Who was it first? And today we're going to be talking about the book, The Afterlife of Billy Fingers. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen on Facebook the page and the memes that are going around with the wonderful quotes that have come from this book. And I don't know about you ladies, but I found this book to be very uplifting and very enlightening. Basically, it's a story about a woman whose brother died tragically. He was not, quote, a good person. He was very difficult and challenging and was falling into drugs and a bad situation. He ended up dying abruptly. And he came back to her and spoke to her over the course of a year and described the afterlife, what happens after you die. So it was a really good inspirational tale, because for me, I've never read a story exactly like this. I've read bits and pieces of it in different books, but never a whole entire complete picture of what happened from the moment you died to the moment you returned to source. Mimi, what did you think?
I think I posted a Facebook status while I was reading it, being like, I was laughing and crying and just like grateful to the universe. That's what I felt when I was reading it. It was so beautiful, and it confirmed so many things. Like, you know, as a Sagittarius, I always am like into the hunt for truth. And in this book, part of what they talked about is like the afterlife and what that is for people. And he brought up that there's different paths for people in the afterlife, and I was like, I love that, because, you know, you hear different stories about people's experiences, and they're all a little bit different, and this is like, people get what they need beyond here, you know, like, instead of everything being this cookie cut out pattern, you know, this is how it happens, you go to heaven, your wings, and a white robe, and their harps, and then there's this expansive, like, whoo version, you know, and I really resonated with it, and I appreciated it so much.
Yeah. Katie, what did you think?
I definitely agree. Like, I was just super, it came at a good time for me too. I had just come back from working at out of town, and I was like all wrapped up in the mundane world, and I was looking for connection back. So I read the book, and it just resonated with me a lot. All the quotes and like the basic moral lessons in it was just really, really powerful. And then, like Mimi was saying, with the different paths for people during afterlife, I've always had an inkling of that, because otherwise, why would we have all these other religions if people didn't get what they wanted when they died? To see what they wanted, what they believed in during their life. So it's just really cool to see a certain person's view of the afterlife and see what they got out of it.
Cool. So let's see. There was a lot of good, like, little stories within the story, right? In this book, one of my favorite story was the oyster and the pearl, and how you can have that one little piece of sand that irritates you, but you build the pearl around that, and that becomes your crowning jewel, right? I really liked that.
Yeah, I love the synchronicities in the story, because that came up like a few times. And like through the book, book, Billy would say things, and all of a sudden it would, like, appear in her life. Like, it was like, this has to be real, the way this is happening. And I get those feelings in my own life with synchronicities. Like, little winks from spirit universe, like, being like, hey, look how this is working out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because he would say, "Oh, give somebody a coin," and he wouldn't like tell her which coin, and she had two to pick from, and then she always ended up picking the right one, right, or the one that the message was intended for, and he would always like send messages to other people to kind of confirm the feedback loop, right? You know, with people that she was encountering in her day-to-day life. He would like give them little messages that would help them and help their path. And I thought that was pretty cool. The other thing that I liked, I mean, just the whole concept of this particular soul, Billy Fingers, actually went all the way back to source. I think a lot of the past life, or not past life, the afterlife stories that I've read, descriptions that I know of, they never go that far. He actually went all the way back. He was done. He was not incarnating anymore, and he went back to source. And the fascinating thing was the formulas. He had formulas that he like encoded into his tribe's structure. And I wish they had expanded more on that, because that was like, ooh, good, a math geek, yay, formulas, right? What were they? I want to know the formula. Write it out. Let me know.
I was hoping that would be book 2.
Yeah, right?
I mean, who knows? I mean, it never said for sure that he would never. It didn't say, right, that he would not be contacting her anymore, but it did seem to get more and more distant. So I was like wondering if that would be the case, if that was it, or if there would be more.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
assume it
know
was
formulas.
Yeah,
But
I want to know the formula.
Yeah, I took that as like it was like him imprinting his life story, like what he learned from that life on the wall when he like went to touch it, and then the goddess touched it too.
Yeah.
I thought that was really, really cool that all of these, our soul group stories and lessons get put on our wall, and it's shared knowledge, and we all get to experience it and learn from it. I thought that was really empowering.
Cool.
I
Now,
love
go ahead.
perspective on life from beyond. You know, like how we take death too seriously. Like one of the first quotes that I highlighted is, "Try not to take death too seriously. As a matter of fact, try not to take life too seriously. You'd enjoy yourself a lot more." And that's one of the secrets to life. Sorry, phone. We want to know, or do you want to know another secret? Saying goodbye isn't as serious as it seems either, because we will meet again. And I love that, because, you know, we often, like, talk about that in heaven, but, like, even the expanse and, like, how we come back, like you were talking about, to the source, and, like, these energies, like, we meet them again. And I think that's really good, because a lot of us hold on in this life to so much. It's like, this is the only time ever, and it's not like that. It's like,
I want to hold on.
Yeah. It's because we don't have that perspective.
Grip it tightly. Yeah.
You know.
yeah. And so I really appreciated that. And I also liked his perspective on life, too, saying that he has a quote in here, "I was done with my life, Annie. I paid my debt, although it's not what we usually think of as payment. It wasn't some price for my so-called sins. It was more of a learning thing. And how do I know my life wasn't a punishment for my past transgressions? Well, because there is no such thing. You're not on earth to be punished. It's not about sin and punishment. That's a human concept." And I really appreciate that. And it says, "Pain is just part of the human experience, as natural as breath, eyesight, blood moving through your veins, blood moving through your veins. Pain is part of the earth field. Don't be concerned about it." You know, like, it's going to happen. You can't avoid it. As happy as you want to be, as much as you want to be like the law of attraction, which, you know, is an amazing thing, these times are going to come, and it's part of our experience to work through them. It's part of our soul growth, you know, and it's, in all, a beautiful thing. We just get caught up in the pain of it and stuck there.
Yeah, the suffering of it, you know. It's like you enjoy suffering for some reason.
Great. Humans are dramatic. At the heart of it,
yeah. Okay,
we're
maybe
all
that's
dramatic. All drama queens, and we're like, the pain
Leo rising too. The martyrdom of.
Yeah.
Oh, Leo Moon.
Mhm.
I got the pain. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I could have highlighted this whole book, and if you've ever gone, you should check out his Facebook page, or Billy's Facebook page, the Facebook Afterlife of Billy Fingers, because they're incredible memes, which are just little snippets of the book that just share various parts of this book that are so, like, even the little snippets are so healing.
Yeah, although I noticed that some of them are out of context, so the way they come across in the meme isn't necessarily how it was framed in the
Right.
book. So even though it's a great snippet, and it's like, oh boy, that just makes everything so much better. And it has value in that, but it's just be aware that there's more around
There is a lot more.
a particular sentence, you know.
I mean, basically, if you could take the book and make a meme out of it, that would be
Exactly, yeah, that'd be kind of hard. It's called a book.
That's the book. Read the book.
Read the
I'm trying
book.
to find. It's interesting on Kindle. Like, I wish that I could have on my Kindle. Like, I like to stick things in books. You know, like little pieces of paper. Like, go here, and I just do that. Oh, this is fun. So the Judgment Day. I really like this too. It's funny. They say there's a judgment day after you die, but it's actually the opposite is true. There's a no judgment day. Viewing my life has become surprisingly enjoyable because I have an absolute acceptance of myself and everything I've done. It would have been nice if I'd been able to have this attitude when I was alive. And I guess I wasn't that advanced. You'd have to be like Buddha to be that advanced. But I love that. Like, you get to see what you did and not have judgment. You know, like, I know I still, experience this where I'll, like, think of something I did years ago and cringe at the judgment that comes up over this tiny thing that's so inconsequential. And to be able to just be like, oh, that happened. Cool.
Yeah, I think it kind of supports the concept of there's, not good and there's not bad. There's not the duality that we have imprinted upon this world, that it's all one. It all is. It is what it is, And just because we view it as bad or negative or good or holy or moral doesn't necessarily mean it is. It's just our concept of it.
It's all experience. That's
Yeah.
what life is.
So what was one of your favorite parts? Do you have a quote for us?
I didn't write down all of it, but let me look in the book. I shared a book with Mom, so I had to give it back.
Mom had to make notes.
Okay, so this is one of my favorites. What is bliss? Bliss is like being in love multiplied by 1,000, but it has nothing to do with anyone else. It's fulfilling in and of itself. On Earth, you usually need someone to give you a reason to feel love, and that feeling usually has its up and downs. With bliss, there's no downside, and you don't need a reason for it. As your soul floats through this dimension, it's just natural to feel bliss. And lately, I've been going through a lot of self-love stuff, and just reading this was like what have I been looking for? I've been looking for bliss in myself, being in love multiplied by 1,000. That's what I want, but we don't necessarily get it here, but it's nice to know that we receive it at some point. Like, we can work for it here and now, but we'll get it eventually when we go back.
That's nice, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the whole, throughout the whole book, the concept of love was not romantic.
Mm-hmm.
It was all just universal love, actually.
Right.
Love for everything, love for everybody, love for all that is. And that was one of the cool parts, was when he was describing being part of the universe. Well, I'm just out here all expanded out. I could just imagine all the molecules, like, sorry, Katie, expanding out.
Hey, she's just expanding and joining you.
La la. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I want to be the universe. I want to expand out that big and be the cosmos for a couple hours and then come back down.
That's the feeling of being a Sagittarius on a daily basis.
Oh, that's it. Okay.
We're working
wrong side of the zodiac for that.
Yeah, opposite sides. You know, that reminds me of like what his sister, because they had kind of a difficult relationship because Billy was a difficult person to deal with. And he says, "You're at your computer crying, wondering if I forgive you." And the real question is, do you forgive yourself? And she said, or Billy said, "There is no one to forgive because we signed up to do this dance together before we were born. We weren't acting out some type of, I did something wrong to you in another life and I'm paying for it now kind of thing. It doesn't work like that. That's a concept of an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, karmic equalizing of the score, which isn't the real deal, at least not where I am. It's more of an experiment, chosen for soul type reasons that humans have an almost impossible time understanding." And I get that, and I relate to what you said about love. Our love relationships. It's like we are like the curious cats with 9 lives, and we just need to like experiment and like, hey, that's shiny over there. I'm gonna go poke it. I think that's what it's like, and feelings get involved, and all of our probably our ego selves and all those kinds of things. But from a higher perspective, these are all just our learning and our lessons, which is so nice to hear it from here because that's what I've been saying. That's how I help myself through things. Well, learning some pretty cool things.
All right.
Yay, lessons. You know, it makes sense. Help to not take it personally and to just like realize, okay, we're in the flow of it, getting some cool stuff.
I highlighted that same quote. That was my my one thing too, because I think a lot of people get hung up on their karma. They think they're fulfilling whatever debts that they had in some of their past life, and it's a very cause and effect kind of thing, which I don't think applies on a universal scale, right? So it ties right into the duality piece. So I love that part too. Like, yes, no karma. We're just experimenting, We wrote the play this way, and for some reason I have to do it this way, and I can't get out of the role at the moment, or I can change the role a little bit, but I can't quite get out of it entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that really struck me that I loved was he was talking about gratitude, which we are always talking about gratitude and how important it is. And it was just saying thank you is more useful than trying to be grateful. It's a lot easier to say a couple of words than try and force yourself to feel something you may not be feeling. Thank you is a high message, possibly the most healing message of all. Thank you aligns you with the grace that comes from the universe of souls. And, it was really interesting for me because I think, sometimes when people, thank me for stuff, I almost, dissuade the things. I don't often respond with, you're welcome, which I think is, the appropriate balance of it because I'm like, oh, thank you, blah, 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 And it kind of, I don't know, that whole thing just shifted something in me to receive it on a different level and be like, you're welcome, and appreciate the thank you, the spirit that it's coming from, which was, I don't know if I'm describing it very well, but it was a big shift in me in realizing keep the thank yous. It's okay.
Good. Yeah, I think that's a lot of our experiment lessons is to receive, because a lot of us are such givers that we need to practice the receiving.
Yes.
Katie, did you have any other quotes that you wanted to?
Oh, this one. When you imagine the infinite, you're touched by your infinite self. I just loved that.
When you imagine the infinite, you're touched by your infinite self.
Yeah.
And see, we're so bounded by the time-space that it's hard to imagine an infinite self, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it makes me think of the part where he sees someone he knew, a first wife or something in the universe too, and she's dancing is how he describes it, and just gorgeous, and he says something if I had seen the beauty of her soul on earth, I would not have been able to function. That's what infinite is. We're that pure, we're that beautiful, we're that love, universal love, and everyone can feel it and see it. And that's amazing.
Yeah, I love that. Hopefully one day we'll be on Earth, but that's being attached to Earth when there's so much more. So
Yeah, all right.
Maybe
The other
level for this.
The other part that I liked, it actually had me crying, was when she had her brother's ashes, and she kept trying to throw them, throw them into several different places, and he would tell her, no, not here. It's too cold, or no, not here. I don't like this area. And he finally told her to go. I forget where it was, Costa Rica
like
or
Jamaica.
or Puerto Rico, yeah, Jamaica or something, to this waterfall that she was terrified. You had to climb up to the top of this waterfall. And she was terrified to do it, but she had these ashes, and she was determined to do it, and she ended up finding a guide to help her up, because it's very slippery, you need some assistance, and he knew the path up. Well, she went into this shack to find the guide, and there was this one guy in the corner. He looked kind of sad, and she said, I want him. Or Billy told her to get him, I'm not sure which. But he took her up, and it turns out that he had a relative died recently that was very traumatic for him too, and it was a healing process for him as well to guide her up to this thing. And I was like in tears at the end of this story. I was just crying because it was just so beautiful, the synchronicities, the loving, and the sharing between the two of them to accomplish this, and it was so healing. I loved it. So I think that was my absolute favorite part.
That was really, really beautiful. I think it shows us those puzzle pieces, they all fit, may not know how, but everything just fits and is happening for a reason. I think that's so cool. I think that's one of the coolest things about this universe, is the way it works like that. We may not know it, and it's cool and we get to see it, but it just fits.
It fits, and you think about what it takes to make everything fit, and you're going, oh my God, who in the hell is up there orchestrating everything? Because it's mind-boggling. Who's doing it?
Totally, I agree. So I had one last thing. This is probably the one that made me cry the most. He was talking about seeing his death memory. He says, in the heart of my death memory, I saw myself running with my arms stretched upwards, my eyes looking towards the night sky, saying a prayer as I ran towards the speeding car. As the car hit, I felt an enormous release as I went through another kind of death. My sacred scripture has played itself out, and all my memories exploded like a supernova. And it goes on about that. But that was probably the point that I cried the most, because I had a teacher that passed away, I think 2 years now. And I didn't really cry about it at first when he passed. I was like, he's cool. He's kufu. He knows what he's doing. It's all good. I'm going to miss him, but it's going to be all good. And one day I was driving, 3 days after it happened, I think. I was driving, and the song Champagne Supernova came on.
Oh,
and the song really touched me and moved me. And all of a sudden, I got this vision of Khufu shifting into this champagne supernova energy. And when I read that, that was basically confirming that, I was a baby bawling. I think that was my thank you, love you, universe moment. So I had gotten basically a little vision of it. And when I read it, I got the chills, and I was like, wow, that's so incredible. I actually got to see part of this happening. And every time I hear that song, I get the chills, and I think of Khufu.
Oh, yeah. Now I will, too.
Yeah. So I think because of my own personal experience, I think that was probably my favorite part of the book.
Do you have any part that made you cry, Katie?
Oh, I didn't bawl, but I teared up at a lot of places.
Just the whole book.
It was just it was so good, and it spoke to me the entire way through. And I think the most special part of this book is the fact that he's interacting with someone at home. So we get to feel her experiences and her doubt going through it, and his wisdom at the same time. It makes it 10 times more powerful to have both perspectives. And I've never read a book about the subject, the afterlife, with an actual narrative in it too from here. So yeah, I just love the whole thing.
Just love it. So I was gonna say, how would you rate the book? But I guess we've all got 5 hearts on this one. So.
Supernova style hearts.
That's it. We rated a champagne supernova.
5 champagne supernovas. those. That's our rating.
And if you don't know the band, it's Oasis. So if you want to go YouTube it, it's Champagne Supernova Oasis. Okay.
Yeah, and feel what it feels like. Maybe you'll get an example of, like, I always feel the music in me. So maybe you'll get an example of, like, what this was. I personally want to end my little part of this is, like, what he said to her before he went into the void. And I think this is, like, so awesome. Life is a divine, mysterious impulse to be tasted and then released.
Catch and release.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then let it go when it's time. And this comes for those that we love, that pass on. They're passing on to something different, more expansive. You know, they've gotten their lessons here. And even though they're not here, they're here.
Here, yeah. Absolutely.
It's very comforting.
Awesome.
It is.
All right, so any other wisdom, last words you want to say about it?
My last favorite quote.
Okay.
Words are words, and wisdom is beyond words. And I think this book put a lot of wisdom into words for us, and we should be grateful.
Totally.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think we are complete.
Do we want to announce our next book?
Yes, and our next book, we are going to do Red Hot and Holy by Sera Beak. She also did the, remind me, the Red Book that we reviewed, our very first book show. So we're going to do that one, and it will be August 20th. At the moment, they may shift, but August 20th is our target date, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll share all the links and stuff. So this looks to be like it's really good. I just read like the intro of it, and I was like, okay, this is going to be a good one. So
I read it about a year ago, and I'm really excited to read it again. And I recommend like putting on some sultry music, lighting a few candles, getting a good green juice or a glass of red wine, whatever appeals to you. For me, it's green juice. You know, like, put your settings in a divine, red, hot, and holy setting, and you will dive in. And Sera Beak is an incredible writer, experiencer. And if you haven't read the Red Book, check that out too, or watch what we had to say about the Red Book, because it was pretty shifting for me when I read it at that time too. So.
Yeah, I'm doing a double. I'm going to read that one and this one, so I'm going to be reading fast. I'm going to read that one first and then this one.
I can't wait to see how wild and crazy Drew shows up at the next book.
Awesome. Awesome, ladies. Thank you so much. This has been great. I love sharing this stuff with you guys, so appreciate it.
Too. And hopefully, come join us next time. Come read the book and join us on camera, because I love hearing what people have to say about these books.
Absolutely, because we all come with different viewpoints, different perspectives.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, well, namaste, and we'll see you next time.